So this is you. You're an American citizen and you like to be an informed voter with at least a cursory understanding of the major political candidates' positions. So you hear that Donald Trump, by a large margin, is the frontrunner for the Republican Party in the 2016 presidential campaign. After you check every fucking source you can and gather yourself off the floor from a fit of delusions and hysteria as your brain wrestles with accepting the reality of what you heard being accurate, you decide, okay, I guess I should find out what's so great about Trump. I mean, maybe you were too quick to judge, and he actually has an impressive platform that brings successful business sense to a political realm. After all, Trump has been awfully good at being a successful rich white man in America, which has a pretty good track record for making you a favorable politician here. It's time that you at least give him a fair shake. So off you go to donaldjtrump.com to evaluate his platform and decide for yourself if he should really quit running or if his legitimacy is in too great a supply to cease. So, onto his page you go, and you see a top banner with a button that reads Positions. Now let's stop a moment and consider what the opposition has to offer in this category. If you go to Bernie Sanders' website, his Issues tab links you to 11 different tiers of his platform, spanning from income and wealth inequality, which is his major running point, through racial injustice, war, reformation of Wall Street. And if you go to Hillary Clinton's website, she has 24 different points of her platform. Granted, some of them are really specific and obvious, like campus sexual assault and voting rights, but she also has information on much bigger issues and where she stands, like Social Security, education, and criminal justice reform. Now, you go back to the Trumpster's website to give it a thorough perusing of all his issues. You hover your mouse over the Positions tab, and you see immigration reform. His Positions tab doesn't even offer plural positions. In terms of politics, one of the only things sadder and poor policy supported by a single-issue voter is a single-issue presidential candidate running on the grounds of poor policy. You notice that he has quadruple the number of social media links on his page than he has actual issues. So you figure that if he's a single-issue candidate and he's leading an entire political party, then he must have a damn good policy lined up for that issue. And you click on it prepared to be baffled by his brilliance on immigration reform, and you find that his policy on this single issue is broken into what he calls the 3 core concepts. These include, and I quote, Number 1, a nation without borders is not a nation. There must be a wall across the southern border. 2 sentences in, and there's an inconsistency. If, in order to merely be a nation, you need a border, the existence of which is contingent upon a literal wall, then why does only the southern border of the U.S. need a wall? Wouldn't that apply to the entire border? Oh, and by the way, it's 2015, and you're talking about securing a border with a wall, as if people who sold everything they own and are willing to risk their lives to cross the border are going to see a wall, shrug, and then leave. I mean, after all, it is a wall, and assuming it's impenetrable, it's not like people are willing to risk their lives to get to the other side could ever go under it, around it, or over it. Number 2, a nation without laws is not a nation. Laws passed in accordance with our constitutional system of government must be enforced. Building walls along one border of a country and enforcing the laws of that country are not mutually exclusive, unless the law of the land is to have a 1,954-mile wall along its southern border. If that's the case, we've really been slacking on enforcing that law here. Number 3, a nation that does not serve its own citizens is not a nation. Any immigration plan must improve jobs, wages, and security for all Americans. Actually, not serving your own citizens doesn't make you any less of a nation. It just makes you one with a poorly operating government. Also, an immigration plan, while you can argue is tied to some kind of security of at least some Americans, it really doesn't have to have anything to do with improving jobs or wages for current citizens. Rather, if you consider how many illegal immigrants currently are likely to be working jobs below minimum wage, following the second core principle of enforcing all laws, like minimum wage laws, to pay those immigrants, or anyone else for that matter, the currently lowballed minimum wage to do the same jobs they're doing for even less, the employing companies would have to pay more just to maintain current productivity. If Trump thinks that's going to cause corporations to raise wages rather than prices without adjusting current policies, then maybe he's not as familiar with American CEOs as we thought. Long story short, building a wall between here and Mexico in no way is going to improve jobs and wages for the USA. You may also be asking yourself at this point, who's going to pay for this Great Wall of Trumpland? The first line on his platform after the three core principles beautifully explains that as well. Quote, "Make Mexico pay for the wall," end quote. So at this point, you probably deeply contemplate your existence and wonder if the very fabric of reality as you know it has been shredded. Then you slow down and ask yourself in a calm, composed manner, okay, Donnie J, why exactly would Mexico be willing to pay for this wall? So you read his elaboration and find out that Mexico's leaders have been taking advantage of the United States by using illegal immigration to export the crime and poverty in their own country, as well as in other Latin American countries. So of course you're wondering how making an inflammatory and unsubstantiated claim about the Mexican government treating the USA like its personal Guantanamo Bay is supposed to convince us as to why Mexico is going to comply with this ridiculous wall plan. Then you accept that Trump didn't think he'd need to get into explaining how or why Mexico would build this wall for us, and just explain why we should want to make them do it. He does this nearly for an entire page and then gives us what he feels is his compelling leverage to force Mexico to do it. Until they do, the United States will, among other things, impound all remittance payments derived from illegal wages, increase fees on all temporary visas issued to Mexican CEOs and diplomats, increase fees on all border crossing cards, of which we issue about 1 million to Mexican nationals each year, increase fees on all NAFTA worker visas from Mexico, and increase fees at ports of entry to the United States from Mexico. So there you have it, folks. DJ Jazzy Trump's plan for making Mexico build a wall along our southern border to keep out the people he claims Mexico is deliberately exporting over the currently non-walled border into our country is to punish those Mexican citizens who are legally crossing the Mexican border and making it harder for them to do so. If the stupidity hasn't given you an aneurysm yet, need I remind you that this is the only explained position and that he is the leading Republican candidate. Excuse me while I start researching real estate options in Canada.